Now for tonight's class, I am going to be hosting an open question and answer session at the end of the class. And at this point, you'll be able to ask me anything you want about the ExtendAzon plugin, or even anything you want about simply building Amazon affiliate sites in general. Now at the end of the class, right before actually the Q&A session, I'm also going to be giving you guys a completely free course that I created. It is a WordPress anti-hacking course, something from my own personal experiences, kind of the one thing that has kind of been thrown in at my Amazon affiliate sites that has really disrupted their performance are simply hackers coming in and trying to take them over. So that course kind of details my experiences with that entire issue and also shows you how I recovered and bounced back from it, and we'll give you some ways that you can protect your own websites from hacking attacks as well. Now during this particular class, I am going to be talking to you about the ExtendAzon software for at least a few moments to give you some of my recommended tips and tactics for using this software. But then I also have some more general Amazon training that I want to go into after I talk about ExtendAzon. And I really recommend that you stick around for this because this is something that is really not commonly discussed among a lot of the Amazon product creators out there. And yet it's something that has been the #1 key to my own personal success as an Amazon affiliate. I'm not just a software developer. I'm not just somebody that teaches other Amazon affiliates, but I actually have my own Amazon sites. And that's actually how I got started in the marketing world before I even started teaching other people and creating my own software. So with that said, before I get to that portion of the training, I do want to talk about ExtendAzon here for a few moments. I hope you are enjoying this plugin, and I hope you have been able to try it out and put it into action on your website so far. Either way though, there are training videos in the download area for this plugin, just in case you have not noticed them, or maybe you have noticed them but you just haven't taken the time to go through and watch them. It's not just general how to use the plugin type of training videos. I actually put a lot of really great tips and recommendations from my own personal usage of this plugin into those training videos. And so I simply wanted to point out that if you have not already watched those, I would highly recommend it. Again, as I said, I started doing Amazon affiliate sites long before I ever started creating software for other people or started teaching other people. ExtendAzon actually comes from my own Amazon sites. I use this plugin on at least some of my personal Amazon sites. So I have recommendations and things based on those personal experiences to pass along to you guys. And I put a lot of that stuff in those training videos for you. Now, just in case you're having any issues with getting this plugin running, if it just doesn't seem to be working at all, one thing that is worth checking out is something called CURL. Other people call it curl. This is something that is required to be activated on your web hosting account in order for ExtendAzon to be able to work. Most hosting accounts have this activated already by default, but there are at least a small number of them that seem to have this deactivated. However, if you simply send your web host an email and ask them to enable this for you, that's typically all it takes, and they can actually perform that change for you rather quickly. Now beyond that, if you're If your links are simply not converting into ExtendAzon shopping cart links correctly, there are a couple of settings that are worth checking out in the plugin, the JavaScript and the cloak link detection settings. Try enabling these two particular settings and see if it is able to pick up your ExtendAzon links. However, if you don't need these settings to detect your links, then I actually would recommend to have them disabled. I do talk about these settings more within the training videos, but these are really the two main settings in the plugin that control whether or not it's able to pick up particular types of links or not. It requires the plugin to do a little extra work for each of these types of searches, which is why these settings are there, so you can disable them again if they're not needed. Now, another thing that I talked about in those training videos was something called link exclusion. Link exclusion is where you get ExtendAzon to ignore some of the Amazon links that are on your website. This is actually something that I cannot stress enough to try to put into action on your site. The reason being is that by default, ExtendAzon will try to convert all of the Amazon affiliate links that it can find on your website into these shopping cart links. And while you do want to have these shopping cart links to integrate the products you're promoting into your on-site shopping cart, but also to get that extended 90-day cookie from sending shopping cart traffic through, having that system there is great, but you don't want to limit your visitors to nothing but that, at least in most cases. If your website is nothing but, say, an e-commerce store, then sure, it might be okay to allow ExtendAzon to convert all of the links for you. But if you have a site that is more of the type of Amazon site that I build, you really want to give people the option of going and checking out a product on the Amazon website or proceeding through and completing the sale through this on-site shopping cart. This extra bit of attention given to an Amazon site using ExtendAzon can really make a major difference with the results that this plugin can deliver. So this also brings me to my next point, which is to simply test your results. Look at your Amazon site and see how it performs without the ExtendAzon plugin. You can use tracking IDs through your Amazon affiliate account to track each site individually. So see how it performs without it, and then compare it to a similar time period that also receives a similar amount of traffic, and simply see how they do. See which one brings in ultimately the most earnings is really the important part you're looking for. You will notice different stats as far as click-through rates and conversion rates on the ads if you are using ExtendAzon, simply because you get a lot less clicks through to the Amazon website if you were to use nothing but a shopping cart ad. However, the people that go through that system, they're a lot more primed and ready to buy, and so you end up with much higher conversion rates. So ultimately, those stats may not match up, but the earnings in the end is the surefire way to tell whether or not it's helping your site or not. There will be some cases where you may find that ExtendAzon doesn't help your site, and there will be other cases where you find that it will help your site. So pick and choose accordingly, along with using link exclusion to control which links are actually utilizing this shopping cart system, and try to fine-tune your results to simply get the best earnings that you can off of each of your individual Amazon sites. Now finally, ExtendAzon is updated on a fairly regular basis, either for bug fixes, problems that may arise. A lot of times these fixes might be simply to help the plugin work along better with other plugins and other themes. If customers contact me and say, hey, I'm using this particular theme or plugin and something doesn't look or work quite right, I'll try to get an update out that will actually address that issue. So beyond that, I even add new features over time to this plugin, and you'll be able to get all of those updates for free. And this is done through the WordPress dashboard, just like you would any normal free WordPress plugin. Just simply go to the plugins, installed plugins page, and where you see ExtendAzon listed there, it'll notify you when an update is available. And then you just click on the Update Now link, and it'll process that all for you. Beyond the things that I've talked about here, again, I really recommend to go through all those training videos if you have not done so already. If you run into any questions about the plugin, I welcome you to contact me through my customer support ticket system, and that's at ryanstevensonplugins.com/support. And then you can even ask me questions at the end of this evening's class if you have something right away that you would like to get some kind of additional help with. So with that said, I told you a little earlier that I wanted to talk to you guys about some really important stuff that not many other and possibly no other Amazon developers are actually talking about. And there's a good reason, at least for their financial success, why they might not want to talk about this kind of thing. But I'm going to let the cat out the bag, and I'm going to talk about this with you guys tonight because that's the kind of marketer I am. If you spend any amount of time going through any of my training lessons, for example, you'll see that I'm not going to give you the fast and easy way out just because it sounds good. I'm going to tell you what it really takes because I do all this stuff myself. I've been doing all this stuff for myself for years. I'm not formally trained. I didn't have my own coaches. It took me a long time to figure things out, years and years of trial and error, but I taught myself how to do all of this stuff. And so it honestly kind of bothers me sometimes when I see a lot of internet marketers pushing certain types of products or strategies on people, and without even trying this stuff for myself, I can just automatically say there's no possible way that this is going to work. And if by some miracle it does work, there's no way that it's still going to be working, say, a year from now, or 2 years from now, or even 5 or 10 years from now. People want to get into marketing to earn a supplemental income or to simply build a full-time income so they can start doing internet marketing as a full-time job and work for themselves. But you can't really build a business to that point if you're always fighting just to get started, or if you're always recovering from problems that keep arising. You need a sustainable business model that you can keep putting into action over and over again to get to the income level that you want. You need to be able to have a business you can grow. That way, a year from now, 5 or 10 years from now, the work that you're doing today in your marketing career will still be working for you. It'll still be making money for you. So ultimately, I want to ask you this question. You don't have to answer it in the chat box. You can either answer it in your own head, or you can even write down the answer if you would like to. That question is simply, what are your goals as an Amazon affiliate? For most people, Doing Amazon is ultimately about making some kind of money. You might want to make an extra couple $100s a month so you can save up for a family vacation each year. Maybe you want to make a full-time income so you don't have to work a 9-to-5 job anymore. Everybody has different goals, and that's quite okay. But you really need to get a secure grasp on what those goals are if you really want to have any hope of achieving them. Now, on top of that, the goals that you may have, they probably have some kind of a monetary value to it. $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $5,000, maybe $10,000 a month. Ultimately, though, what is that for? Why do you want to make that money? That's really the most important part. I got started with internet marketing when I was a teenager. I actually just turned 34 years old yesterday, but I was 12, 13 years old when I got my start and first started making money online by simply building websites and referring sales on other people's products. I learned a lot over the years. Thank you for the birthday wishes, everyone. I learned a lot over those years. But ultimately, when I was a kid, I didn't have a real big reason to want to make money. I wanted to make money to buy stupid stuff that I probably didn't really need. I actually bought myself a Mustang convertible when I was 16 years old with my affiliate marketing money. But that's not the case anymore. I'm married now. I've been married for about 13 years, and I have 3 children. And so ultimately, in the beginning of that, I was doing internet marketing and affiliate marketing still and making money, but I really wasn't making enough to support my family. I ended up working at some restaurants because I didn't have a college education. I worked my way up into management at those restaurants, but ultimately years and years worth of hard work netted me an extra maybe $100 a week or something. And I was just sick of it. And I was like, I can do better than this. I know what I'm doing on the internet. I just have to put this knowledge into action. And so finally I had a reason to want to do it, a reason to want to succeed. And I probably worked, in addition to my normal job, an extra 40 to 60 hours every week for possibly a year or two, just trying to get myself out of the situation that I was in, trying to achieve these goals. But to have that determination, to have that real reason to want to strive to achieve those goals was really the driving factor. I wanted to prove people wrong, people that said, you can't do it that way. Go get a real job. Keep working, your real job. Keep pursuing a career in management in a restaurant. You'll eventually get to the point where, you're at least making a decent income. But people didn't believe that I could succeed online. And so ultimately, I not only wanted to succeed for myself, but I wanted to prove all these people wrong and be like, see, I can do it. I did it. And now I'm living the dream while those people are still stuck working those jobs that they honestly don't like. So now I also want to ask you this question. How close are you really to reaching those goals? Whatever goal you might have as an Amazon affiliate, where are you at now compared to where you want to be? Really getting a grasp on this and being able to kind of picture it is, again, some really great motivation to put you into action, to get something done about it. I had to kind of sit back and figure out what all my bills were every month, the bare minimum that I needed for my family to be able to survive, and say, okay, I needed to make at least, this much as a minimum, and that's not even to really have anything left over for entertainment. And so once I knew what to try to achieve, I simply set my sight on those goals, and I worked at it step by step to finally get there. Now, as I mentioned to you before, I'm going to talk to you about something that most of the Amazon marketers are not talking about. And in addition to that, I'm going to break away from the slideshow here in just a few and actually start showing you some real internet sites, an actual Amazon site of mine, and also some proof to back up a lot of the things that I'm saying here. Ultimately, in the last year or two especially, I have been talking to a lot of my own customers. People write me and say, I really respect the approach that you have, the way that you teach people to build Amazon sites. Unfortunately, they kind of got their start, though, through other marketers and actually started building websites other ways. And some of them got into trouble for it. Some of them ended up getting their Amazon accounts banned. And they were just like, is there anything that I can do to kind of recover from this situation? And unfortunately, you can try to wipe out all of those bad websites and put up a quality website and submit yourself for reapproval to Amazon. And there is a chance of getting reapproved. But ultimately, you really need to do stuff the right way from the get-go to avoid these problems. And then you just don't even have to worry about it. This is part of the building a long-term sustainable business that I was talking about earlier. Ultimately, the automated content websites, the sites where you can just click a button and boom, you have 100 pages on your site, or you have 1,000 pages on your site, and you're promoting all these great Amazon products, and you have content on there about the products and maybe even some YouTube videos or something like that. Ultimately, anything that you could ever come up with to generate with a piece of software like that is not going to have a long-term future for Amazon affiliates. And there are a couple of good reasons why. The biggest is that Amazon wants you to bring some kind of value to the table in order to get paid for being an affiliate. When somebody takes all of the Amazon content for a product and just slaps a page up on their website about that product and then just directs traffic along to Amazon, they're not really helping Amazon out. They're not really bringing new sales to Amazon in the large majority of cases, at least. Typically, it's a strategy that's designed to snipe traffic off of Google, people that are already interested in a product and are already going to find that product on Amazon eventually. And they just want to intercept them and pass them through this e-commerce store and generate a commission off of them. But Amazon has caught on to this trick, and they're doing something about it. They're actively denying both new affiliates and permanently suspending existing affiliates that are using this type of software. The problem, though, is not actually running one of these Amazon affiliate stores. I built the ExtendAzon software. ExtendAzon is all about transforming a site into an Amazon store. That's not the problem here, because ExtendAzon's not generating content for you. Ultimately, I can't really control what people use my software on, but I can limit the features that my software has. If you go and look on JVZoo, for example, the top selling Amazon software over and over and over again is this exact type of software. The reason why is because it sounds great. You know, you get this Amazon site and it's built for you and it's all ready to go and it's got all these products and all you have to do is like click a button, maybe put in a couple keywords. It sounds awesome. In theory, it can even work too on a very small scale. I'm a programmer. If I create a system like this and generate websites like that, and I keep those sites to myself, it might have some chance of succeeding. But when I distribute that same system to the masses and have thousands of people using it, that system breaks down. Amazon starts to take notice. Google starts to take notice and stop sending traffic to these websites. We've all heard about the dreaded Google Panda and Google Penguin updates and things like that over the years. And affiliate marketers were screaming that Google was out for blood and they hate affiliate marketers. That's not the case at all. Google just hates people that don't really put in an effort to their site. They hate poor quality content. Something that most people don't realize, Google, while they do not directly employ these people, they independently contract a group of reviewers that actually goes through Google listings every single day and searches for stuff. And then they go through the top 10 rankings, for example, and they'll rate these websites. How good is this website? Does it answer? Does it solve the problems that somebody might have for whatever you're searching for? Over time, no matter what trick a marketer, a programmer could possibly come up with, Google will always eventually figure it out and they'll boot those sites out of the rankings. I was honestly kind of sitting back and laughing when a lot of those Google algorithm updates went into effect because they didn't affect me at all. My sites actually went up in rankings because all those bad ones disappeared. The problem here, as I mentioned before, is all of that automated content, the poor quality content. If a visitor isn't going to really be happy on your website, if you have to kind of trick people to visit your site and then you have to trick them again to kind of click through to the Amazon website and to get them to buy a product, you're not really helping them. And in the end, you're not helping the business models of Google or Amazon. Amazon wants new customers. Google wants to put quality websites in their search results because they want people to be able to find the things that they're searching for. That's never going to change, no matter what marketing software could ever be created. So ultimately, years ago, I tried all the automated stuff. As I said, I'm a programmer. I didn't try automated software, but I created my own. And like I said, it kind of worked small scale, made me a little bit of money, but ultimately all those tactics just fizzled out over time. And so I started thinking about the companies that I'm dealing with, the companies that I depend on for the success of my business. Ultimately, I need Amazon to still be sending me that check every month. If I anger them, then they're going to cut me off and then the earnings are gone. My websites also depend on search engine traffic, so I can get free daily targeted traffic that then I can convert into Amazon sales. So if I anger Google, I'm also going to, again, get myself into some trouble. I'm going to lose my traffic and then my sales disappear. So I needed to keep both of them happy. I also wanted to keep the visitors happy, to give them a reason to actually want to visit a website. Years ago, it was so people might actually share my link on like a forum, or maybe another website owner would put a backlink to my website. Nowadays, that same stuff still happens and still applies, But you also have social media to take into account. Nobody is ever going to share a pure e-commerce store, one of these automated Amazon websites. It needs to be a site that actually helps people. It needs to be a site that has good content, that has value to it. Now I mentioned that I'm going to pull up some actual websites here and show you guys some proof of this stuff that I'm talking about, and then even show you an actual Amazon site of mine. To begin with here, I'm on the Google website, and I just wanted to try to find one of these automated Amazon stores. I don't have any that I run, so I can't use them as an example. I don't want them associated with my affiliate account, to be quite honest. So I went out to try to find one, and it really wasn't that hard to try to find one on Google. I went with an example on the top page of these results. So this is actually going to be one of the strongest of these websites, because the weakest ones are going to be much deeper in these Google rankings. So the site I picked was ebicycle.net. This is actually, I believe it's created with StreamStore, if I'm not mistaken, a new Amazon automated store builder that was recently released. So using this site as an example, I then started to investigate. I looked at the website to try to find out the different pages of content that might be located on this site. I then went and looked for one of their top ranking products. Right here, I was able to find this particular product. It's some kind of cycling shoe. This, again, I associate as being one of the top ranking products on the site in terms of search power, because all the weaker stuff, again, is going to be deeper down in these results. So going a step further, I take this product name. This product name, searching it on Google, on page 1, I wasn't able to find anything for this website. On page 2, I also wasn't able to find anything, but kind of towards the top of page 2, I started noticing sites that at least get closer to being more of a quality type of website. This one here, while it has a pretty minimal amount of content on it, it's not a direct rehashing of simply the product information that is available on the Amazon site. It's got a little bit of information about a number of different types of shoes that are all centered around mountain biking. So, compared with this website, where I ended up finding the ebicycle.net was actually down on page number 4. If you know anything about search engine rankings, nobody really ever makes it down to page number 4 and clicks on anything. So when you're on page 4, you're really not getting any traffic to these websites. Here, though, is where I found ebicycle.net to be sitting on this particular result. And again, this is not some cherry-picked result. This is the very first website that I looked at, the very first product example that I tried searching for. And this is what I came up with. Now, on this particular product, here's the really big thing to notice. Look at the description for this product. This product, the shoes may look like a regular pair of running shoes, but once on the bike, you'll quickly discover blah, blah, blah. Notice the result directly above it. It's identical. You can actually find this same exact description over and over and over again on the internet. And so ultimately, Google has no reason to want to give this website any kind of a decent ranking because it's not bringing anything unique to the table that isn't already out there. In fact, the result that's higher than them is actually off of the Amazon UK website. So again, this just goes to show you that this content is coming straight off of Amazon. Sorry, mistaken about that. It's actually off of this Go Cycling Now website. But again, this content does indeed come directly off of Amazon. Other websites, though, are using the same stuff that you're using when you use this type of software. Now, let me go ahead and clear a number of these windows out. And I'm going to show you one of my Amazon sites. Now, this Amazon site, downcomforterguide.com, I own this website. I actually created the domain name for this website back in 2010, December of 2010, so at the tail end of it. So this site has been around now for almost 6 years, and it's still doing great. It still gets search rankings. It still gets Amazon sales on a monthly basis. That's something good to bring up. Somebody was asking about, what if somebody steals your content? Since I'm somebody that is in the public eye, I teach people how to build Amazon sites. I distribute software and things of that nature. Every single Amazon site that I've ever shared ends up getting pirated in that manner. Somebody always takes my content, but my site always comes out on top. Google knows the first site that's going to publish content. Once they get that content indexed, anybody else that tries to come along and put that same content on their website, they're going to end up with results that are a lot worse. No, that's actually something else worth mentioning, Raymond. Despite my trashing of automated content builders just a few moments ago, I don't actually despise them. I actually find them to be rather useful, but the problem with them is the default way that they're used, the way that they're kind of sold to be able to work, where you're just doing a couple of moments of work and you get this whole website and you just leave it there. That kind of a website is going to do you more harm than good. Even if you can get some quick results from it, it will eventually catch up with you. It's not to say that you can't use that kind of software, but you can't use it as magic button software, essentially. You have to be able to customize the content that is going on your website. If you can't do that, then yes, it's not good for Amazon sites if you don't do any customization at all. So with that said, on my website here, on Down Comforter Guide, I didn't use any kind of automated content builder. I actually wrote all the content myself and arranged all the content myself. I didn't use the normal WordPress blog style display, even though it is built on a WordPress site. It looks like a regular website, a site where people might actually go for some useful information. It's not just about selling Amazon products. When people land on your website, if they're automatically greeted by nothing but, hey, buy this product, and no matter what other page they look on, they see the same thing, you're not going to get them to stick around very long. You're not going to get them to like your website at all. It's also pretty hard to get people to trust the things that you're trying to say. You review 100 products and they're all great, amazing, awesome products. It's kind of hard to know what you can and can't believe. So by not just focusing on the actual products and focusing instead on the subject that surrounds those products. For this website, it's all about down comforters. There are a ton of other, even bedding related products and subjects that you could potentially relate to down comforters, but the whole website is about nothing but down comforters. So that's kind of the first key to this whole strategy, is you need this focus for your website. You don't want to have a website about everything. A website that has 10,000 product pages on it that cover all of maybe the electronics or something that are on Amazon, that's not really a focus. Your website really doesn't have that great of a chance of competing among all of the other electronic websites. But how many websites do you really think are out on the internet that are about down comforters? Probably not very many of them. There might be a lot of websites that sometimes talk about down comforters, but then they talk about a whole bunch of other subjects too. Well, by focusing one website on nothing but this subject, you immediately pique Google's interest. They can automatically look at all the pages of my site and say, okay, yeah, this site is about down comforters. And so anytime a down comforter related search comes up, this site is considered at least a likely candidate for being one of those search results, as long as it has some kind of content that really matches what somebody is searching for. Now, beyond that niche focus, also notice how it's a pretty clean website design. I don't have that normal blog look to it. The closest thing that I really get to doing the normal blog look on this site are these category pages that then simply talk about the sub-pages that relate to it. So these are my down comforter brands, and then I have a number of these sub-brands that I cover on my website, ExtendAzon and IKEA, so on and so forth. Giving it this different look, but also still a pretty clean tone down. There's nothing in your face. There's no, gaudy colors or graphics or anything of that nature. People can focus on what I want them to, which is the actual content of the website. I find that to be really, really important. Now, I also mentioned that it's not completely focused on products. This one section of the site, which is actually only 4 individual pages of my entire website, is really the only place that it's focused on products. There's actually only one other page, I believe, on the entire site where you can even find an Amazon affiliate ad. The rest of the content on the site, it's all informational. It's all designed to help people. You figure out the subjects that they're interested in relating to the products you want to sell, and you give them the useful information they actually are looking for. Ultimately, though, most of these subjects can lead to wanting to purchase something. Once somebody kind of figures out the size of the bed and the comforter that they need and learns about things like fill power and thread count, they're a lot more likely to be primed and ready to actually buy a product. Then you can just simply funnel them along from your informational content to the product pages. A lot of times I do this with something like what you see at the bottom of this page here, just a simple text link that points them along to the next relevant area of your website. So again, the only place on my site really that has Amazon ads are on these product pages. And this is the extent of my Amazon ad. They're not in your face. They're not going into detail about all these reviews and the prices and all these product features and stuff like that. I talk about the products next to these ads. I tell them why they're good, what they're good for, the situations that they're even bad for, especially. So people can actually trust the information that is there. And people actually buy these products through this website. Now I mentioned to you that I was going to show you proof. I already kind of showed you how just a random page off of an automated Amazon site, a brand new type of software even, something that Google has not really had the chance to pick up and say, okay, this is an automated site, we're going to kind of decrease them in the search rankings. My site, that's pretty much the exact opposite of that. Very toned down, not as heavily focused on sales, actually provides people with good information related to the products that I want to sell them. This type of a website has been around for years and has performed quite well the whole time, with the exception of one little thing, which was actually a hacking attack. Something that I mentioned at the beginning of this class, how I'm going to be sharing my WordPress anti-hacking tactics with you guys. There's a good reason for that, because it's really the only thing that can sidetrack this type of a website from being able to succeed long term if you build it the right way. So to give you a little bit of real proof here, this is the Down Comforter Guide website, my Google Analytics from this site over the last month. And other than creating the website and then revisiting it for a day to repair the issues from the hacking and add a little bit of extra content to this thing to kind of help recover some of those search rankings from that. And that was just a couple of months ago that that stuff happened. That was earlier this year. So it's recovered quite quickly from that. This site has gotten over 2,000 unique monthly visitors. And more importantly, though, are the stats for those visitors. People actually look at an average of 2.8 pages on my website whenever they visit, and I have an incredibly low bounce rate. People actually navigate through the site. People actually read the content. Now, as far as Google is concerned, they definitely respect this tactic. I actually get somewhere between about 50 clicks a day upwards to maybe 120 clicks a day from Google on just this one website. And you can see my average position here among 967 different keywords that are showing up here in Google Analytics. My average position is 12, and quite a few of those are page number 1 rankings. Also take note of things like my click-through rate here. On this keyword phrase, my Saran comforter, this is actually one of the IKEA down comforter brands and models. For this particular search phrase, I rank a 2.3 as the average position. Typically, the number 1 search ranking for any given keyword search receives about a 40% click-through rate. I average between number 2 and number 3 for this one, and I get 47% of the searches. So Google sees stuff like this over time, and this is why the search rankings creep up over time instead of creeping down over time. Have you ever seen a site or how to build a site of your own where maybe you show up on page 1 of Google, and then after a couple of months you're down to page 2. A couple months later you're lower down on the page, and then eventually you just start sliding more and more. Google tracks stuff like click-through rates. They can kind of tell how much interest people show in one of the search results. They can also then kind of follow people through these websites. Through things like Google Analytics, Google can actually tell whether people enjoy my site or not based on whether they immediately bounce off of my website, how many different pages they go and look at, how long they stay on my website. A wide variety of different factors like this, again, can drastically affect your search rankings over time. The quality content, though, that's what is essential to get there and to hold those search rankings. You can not only compete with fairly long-tail type of keyword phrases where you might be talking about a very specific brand and model of a product. You can compete on informational keyword phrases with this tactic, and sometimes you can even get great little gems like this one. I've actually just recently started ranking on the ExtendAzon keyword. No other descriptive phrases at all come along beyond that. You can see the type of search volume that this particular keyword receives. And I've just crept on to the bottom of page 1 for this particular phrase. And honestly, I'm quite excited to even be on page 1 because for such a short keyword phrase that has a direct relation to products that I'm selling on my site, this is a great position to be on. So I can look at this information and make very small adjustments to my website if I want to try to make improvements to it. Otherwise, I can just kind of let it sit there and do its thing and collect money on autopilot. So ultimately, a lot of those dreams that the other Amazon developers try to pitch with this automated software, they're tugging at what you really want, which is to make an income from Amazon and maybe to even be able to sit back and do nothing while you're collecting that income. That is entirely possible. I've done it with my Amazon sites where I make them and I forget about them. I just put them on the hosting account and ignore them for sometimes 2 or 3 years at a time, and they just keep generating money every month for me. However, the real deciding factor though, and the part that they don't want to tell you, is that it takes some hard work to get there. You have to put forth an effort to build these quality websites, to then start generating the money. And if you want to, you can just sit back and start collecting the checks. Or if you're more of a go-getter, you can just keep working at it, keep building more and more websites, keep increasing your monthly income. Now, ultimately, there's really 2 options when it comes to creating these high-quality Amazon websites. You can either build these sites yourself, or you can let somebody else build them for you. No matter which one you would honestly prefer, I would like to try to help you out today. go to the page that you see here on my screen, ryanstevensonplugins.com/future. You're going to find two buttons on this page. One is going to be for learning, for letting me teach you how to build these sites, and the other one is going to be for letting me create these sites for you. For either of these options, I'm going to go through and talk about these for just a few moments in a little more detail. For either of these options, though, I am also going to be including Amazon training for you. In fact, my entire library of training that dates all the way back to 2010, and that also includes all of my software as well. So whether you end up having me build sites for you or building the sites yourself, I still want to make sure you have the knowledge in your hands to be able to run those sites. So know what to do if a problem comes up, or maybe one of the products you promote and sell really great every month, maybe that gets discontinued. What can you honestly do from that? My training, again, will point you in the right direction. And honestly, there's a ton of it. It covers anything from technical stuff to complete site building projects to niche research, keyword research, marketing, and beyond. Now I mentioned that I want to talk about these in just a little bit more detail. Yeah, sure, I can do that. Someone was asking for the link in the chat box here. There you guys go. So you can just click on that if you would like instead of having to type it into your browser. You're quite welcome. Now I mentioned I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about these for you. Before I go and get started on that though, I do want to quickly mention so this first option where I will teach you how to build these Amazon sites. Ultimately, this is to get a lifetime membership for what is normally a monthly subscription fee site of mine called ExtendAzon Pro. This is a site where I put all of my Amazon training, all of my Amazon software. I've been doing this, it's got all my stuff from back in 2010 on it, and I will continue on for years and years into the future, adding still new training to keep you up to date on things that might be changing in the industry, new strategies that I develop, because I am still always building new websites all the time. And that also gives you future access to not just training that I put out, but also software that I release. I currently have 10 commercial WordPress plugins that are useful for Amazon affiliates. You get free copies of all of those. You get updates for life for all of those. And then you also get any new stuff that I release. Now ExtendAzon Pro has a really wide variety of great stuff in it. It's got complete site building courses for WordPress. It's even got a complete site building course for Fresh Store Builder. Fresh Store Builder is actually one of those automated content builders, but my course is all about using that software to create unique websites to where you're not actually using any of that Amazon content. So I actually teach you how to drastically customize one of those sites. I have training on essential skills where I talk about things like cPanel. You learn how to do your own website backups, or just simply setting up an email account. I teach basic web design skills, even a little bit of basic programming in some of those classes. I have classes that dive into niche training where I talk about a specific industry to give you some ideas to help you to come up with ideas for an entire website, to try to figure out what you want to target. I do live monthly question and answer sessions for any members of that site. I even will do personal website reviews and even just review what you choose to pick, what niche you want to go after before you build a website to tell you whether it's a good idea or not. Now there are two options that I offer for this. One of them is simply the lifetime membership for ExtendAzon Pro. The other one is the lifetime membership, but then I also include some one-on-one coaching with me where I will do an initial 60-minute call and we'll simply discuss what the current state is of your Amazon business, what your skills may be, and what your goals are, and I will give you guidance and advice on how to get started, where you need to go, the different things you need to do to try to achieve those goals. Then, I'm not just going to leave you abandoned. I'm actually going to do continued training with you. You're going to get access to me on Skype, and you can send me text messages on Skype whenever you want to get advice, to ask for help. Even if problems arise, there's really no limit as to the kind of help that I'll allow you to ask for there. I can even provide technical help. I mentioned I'm a programmer. I run my own web servers. Now, beyond that, the other option is going to be for me to build these sites for you. For this option, the main deciding factor in the price here of these sites that I can build is really how much content do you want on each page, and ultimately how many websites do you want. The bare minimum that I recommend is 500 words per site. That's the lowest package that I offer. I don't want to build any sites that aren't going to be effective. Down Comforter Guide started out as a 500 word per page website. A couple of those pages that performed the best, I did some expansion work on them and made them perform even better. But I did that stuff after the fact. So I really consider the 500 word pages to be a good groundwork to start with for any Amazon website. However, the 1,000 word pages, they are more powerful. They do get better search rankings. You can go into topics a lot more in depth and really help people a lot better when you can go into that kind of detail on things. The price obviously gets a little higher when we get into doing more content like that, though. Unfortunately, it can't really be avoided, but if you're really looking for a solution where you don't have to really do anything for it, where you just want to have these sites out there running for you, you don't want to have to update them, you don't want to have to write new content to add to whatever I have put on there. The 1,000 word is really more of that final solution. So that's why that option is available for you. Now, somebody is asking about actually the next thing that I wanted to mention, the niche selection. Each of these sites will be focused on a very specific niche, kind of like what I already showed you. Down Comforter Guide focuses solely on down comforters. Sometimes I get even more specific on a niche than that. For example, if I was going to build a website about cars, it wouldn't just be about cars. It would be about one tiny little aspect of cars. Maybe I'd write about the engines. Maybe I'd only write about engines for a certain kind of car, maybe Ford Mustang engines. So ultimately, the niche choice, I do find it to be really important. I will pick these niches for you if you would like. If you have something in mind though, let's say you have a personal hobby and you'd really like for an Amazon site to be about that topic. I'd be more than happy to try to cater to that, to build a site about a certain topic. I will look into it in detail and make sure it's actually going to be a good idea. And if need be, I'll make some other relevant suggestions. Maybe I'll say, hey, that's a good topic, but I need to get a little more specific with the niche that you're after. So whenever possible, I will go after something, but I won't just blindly be like, yeah, I'm going to build you a site about computers, because it wouldn't work. I wouldn't be able in 20 pages to put enough information out there to cover that topic. But I could say, let me focus on this one sub-niche of computers, and that's a lot more feasible. So absolutely, if you want to choose your niche, I will certainly do my best to incorporate that. And if I can't for some reason, I'll tell you why. I'll give you a really good reason. It'll be for ultimately the long-term success of the site, why I would not pursue a particular niche. Now, each of these sites, they are focused on search engine optimization, so they really don't require additional marketing. Down Comforter Guide, I have never done in-depth additional marketing for that website. It gets almost 100% of its traffic from search engines. So I don't have to do anything for it. The site just sits there and collects for me. I'm also going to put a custom website logo on each of your sites. I'm going to not only build the entire website, I'm going to do the research necessary to make sure it's actually going to be a good website. I'm going to put all the Amazon ads on there. I'm even going to give you access to all of my Amazon plugins. On top of that, you're going to get all of my training, the lifetime ExtendAzon Pro access that was part of the previous offer. That's going to be included for every single site that I build, because I don't just want to leave you with a website. I want you to have the knowledge to keep that site going. If you decide to make some updates on that site, I want you to be able to make good updates to it. So that training is essential. Plus, if you decide later, okay, I want to build more websites for myself, you'd have the knowledge to do that too. For every site that I build, I'm also going to do a private 30-minute call, just so we can discuss details about the site, the niche that I might pursue, the kind of products I might try to promote on it. If you have certain preferences of your own as far as that type of stuff, I'd be more than happy to incorporate that. Again, this private call gives us the opportunity to discuss that, and I can also give you some pointers on kind of what to do after the fact once I've actually delivered the site to you and it's in your hands. What do you do next? This private call, for most people, I'll be doing this on Skype through a Skype phone call. If you live in the USA, I can offer a phone call. However, I can really only do that for USA residents, just simply because of long distance charges. If you don't want either of those options, I can even do something like what we're doing right now, a webinar. We come on the webinar, it would only be me as the presenter and you as the attendee, and I can actually unmute any of my attendees, and so we could actually talk, and I can show my screen and even record it for you if you would want to. So any of those options, I'd be more than happy to offer. I'm also going to include a site care guide. It's just going to be basic details tips and pointers on what to do with these websites once I turn them over to you. Unfortunately, I've built some sites for people before, and I didn't give them these pointers, and they just kind of wildly started expanding the sites. Some of them even use automated content to expand the sites and ended up destroying the search rankings that they had achieved. So I certainly don't want something like that to happen. I'm going to give you all the knowledge that you need to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Quite possibly the biggest thing, I might be crazy for even offering this, but the biggest thing that's a part of this whole offer for any website that I create, I am actually going to give you 5 years. That's years, not months, of free website hosting for each of those websites. For quality WordPress hosting these days, you can pay about $25 a month. Over the course of 5 years, that's $1,500. That's more than any single website that I would build for you would cost. And I'll be including that for free. But you're not just going to be thrown on some low-powered junky server. I run my own dedicated servers. They're really fast and high-powered, and they better well be because they're quite expensive. I pay about $500 to $600 a month for them. You will be on those servers. The average Amazon affiliate does not have their websites on powerful servers like that. The difference is speed. The faster your website loads, the better search rankings you're going to get in Google. So if you're on something like GoDaddy web hosting, your site may be on a server with potentially somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 to 10,000 other websites, and it's not even that powerful of a server. So they're really, really slow. They only give you a tiny amount of resources. If too many people visit your website all at once, they deny some of that traffic. You don't have those issues with dedicated servers. That's why I like to run my sites there. They simply perform better. So now you'll be able to also, you won't have to spend the $500 a month though that it would normally take to get that. I will be paying that expense. You won't even have to spend your normal web hosting expense for these websites. I'll be covering that. Honestly, the only thing that you will have to put forth for any of these websites that I build is purchasing the domain name. I do need you to buy that in your name. That's also something that you should want to do because the ownership of that domain, whoever has the domain in their name, that's really who owns that website. I use Liquid Web dedicated servers, Raymond. Well, at least that's what these sites will be on. I've used HostGator before as well. They're a lot slower and cheaper too, but the speed again is kind of the important factor. I'm in the process of completely transitioning everything from HostGator to Liquid Web. Amazon is fast, but Amazon doesn't, they do have servers, but it's like a cloud service. You can serve up portions of your page. If you have, say, a video or some kind of file download that you want to be able to offer and you don't want that dragging down your server, or if you don't want people to have to wait a long time to download it, if you want to give them a fast speed, Amazon's great to do that. It's great for high traffic situations. For trying to set up just a general Amazon affiliate site, it's not really that necessary to do Amazon. Yeah, I see you, Raymond. I will definitely take a look into that as soon as I get off this call, and I'll send you an email to get you all fixed up. So as I mentioned before, both of these offers will continue running. However, only until the end of tonight's class will you be able to get the discounted rate on those. You still have just a little bit longer to be able to get those in. I see a number of you have already commented that you're on board. I thank you very much for your purchase and look forward to getting started with you. For a lot of you, right after your purchase, you'll get an email with the ExtendAzon Pro access information. You're also going to get my Skype account ID, so you can go ahead and add me to your contact list there. We'll do a lot of our communications through there to ensure we're able to keep in touch with each other. Sometimes email can be a little iffy with delivery, so I find Skype to be a lot more reliable in that manner. Earlier, I offered you my free WordPress anti-hacking course. This is actually a 7-part video course, and it also includes a little guidebook for you with some anti-hacking procedures, kind of the basics of the series, kind of a quick reference guide for you. I'll be providing the link also in the chat box here for you guys, ryanstevensonmarketing.com/8H. Again, this is 100% free. You don't even have to sign up for something to access it. Just go to this page. All the videos and everything is loaded on that one page for you. Now, as I also mentioned, I'm going to be doing open question and answer. If you happen to have some questions about ExtendAzon or about Amazon sites in general, or even about the training or the site building offer that I have made in tonight's class, I welcome those questions now. Just put them into the chat box for me. If I'm in the middle of answering a question for somebody else, please feel free to go ahead and ask. I'll get to yours as quickly as I possibly can. I know at least a number of the questions that have been coming in already I have been addressing so far. I'm going to go and take another peek at this though, just to make sure. For those of you wondering about recordings, a couple of you have asked. I am recording tonight's class. It will be provided later on. The recording for that usually goes out shortly after midnight or so, Eastern Standard Time. So in about 4 hours or so from now, you'll get a email with a link for that so you can watch the recording from today's class if you would like to. I guess I kind of went into at least a little bit of detail about it before, but it's not that I would say StreamStore is bad. You just don't want to really use it in the default way. I don't know a ton about that software myself. I do not own a copy of it or use it myself personally. But essentially, if there is a way that you can edit the content that is on all of the pages of your website, if you can control the number of products that is going to put out there that Google can actually index, those are going to be the most important pages for you. You want those pages to not really have any of that automated Amazon content on them to get the best results. Or at least that's the simple explanation for the best way to go about it. I don't really have a recommended software as far as building, an Amazon site. I honestly just use WordPress myself, add the content into WordPress pages, manually link them up together, put in advertisements. And so I'm not really using a software to construct the site for me besides just WordPress. As far as the Amazon ads, I use my own plugins for that, but they don't generate entire pages. One of the plugins that's a part of the ExtendAzon Pro, lifetime access, for example, called Product Style. That's what I use for my ad creation. That's what you see on the Down Comforter Guide website, for example, where ads quickly created with that plugin. So I use tools to make my life easier, to speed up my work, but I won't use them if it's going to sacrifice the quality or if it's going to harm my long-term results. So I love software. I love creating software. I just don't like using stuff that's going to do me more harm than good. And ultimately, I don't create software like that either. Let's see, Marcy was asking about my support address. I mentioned it at least once earlier, ryanstevensonplugins.com, just like you see here, and then just add the word support onto the end. You can actually go to ryanstevensonplugins.com and you'll find support linked from the main menu of that website as well. Jorgen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, was asking about how do I make all that, good content for my website? Am I already an expert on down comforters? Absolutely not. I don't own one. I don't believe I ever had. I don't know. Honestly, if I had ever owned one, my wife would know, and not me. I don't really have any involvement in that kind of stuff. I do try to teach that type of stuff in my training. How do I write about something that I don't know about? I research it. I learn it. I look through reviews and what people actually talk about, not just website content that's out there on a sales page. See what people say about stuff. The things that are important to them, the kind of features they're looking for, why they like certain products, why they dislike certain products. Beyond that, though, ultimately, if there's something that I want to write about and I don't want to research it, I will use a niche expert. I'll find somebody that does know a lot about it. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of go about doing that. When I'm building sites for other people, if I only have one site to build, I might write the content myself. If I had to build 10 or 20 sites all in, say, a month time period, I can't possibly do that. I wouldn't make people wait a year to get that site delivered to them. So I have not necessarily a full team of writers, a full-time team of writers, but I have niche experts that I utilize as writers for a wide variety of different industries and get them to help create my content. So whether you get somebody to directly write it, or even if you just consult with somebody who is a niche expert. For example, if I really wanted to learn a lot about down comforters and I didn't want to do it online, I might go to my local department store and just start talking to people. Hey, I want to know about these down comforters. And they talk to me about different features. Well, fill power. What does that mean? Can you explain that to me? Ultimately, I can just be like, my wife wants me to buy one of these, and she told me if I pick a bad one, I'm going to be in the doghouse. So help me. Explain it to me. And, that's just a free example. You can find people online, though, that already know that kind of expert information and pay them to be a consultant for you, or just simply pay somebody to do all that writing for you and then do the site assembly yourself. Not a problem at all, Jorgen. I completely understand where you're coming from with that. As I mentioned, it will still be here. It is a bit of a discount at the moment, but it's it's not a huge breakable amount that is different there. So think about it tomorrow. Absolutely. And it'll still be here if you are interested for sure. Thank you, Nelly. I appreciate that. Elizabeth, unfortunately, ExtendAzon cannot be used outside of WordPress. If you have, like you're saying, a non-WordPress site in a folder of, say, a WordPress site, unfortunately, it won't work there. I have been toying around with an idea to try to make something like that work, essentially like a JavaScript file that you can embed into the non-WordPress site, and then it would incorporate that shopping cart into there. So while it's currently not possible, I won't rule that one out completely in the future. It's certainly something that I've been thinking about before and have even been toying around with trying to get implemented. So eventually, that feature may indeed be in there in a future version. Thank you very much, Martin. I look forward to get starting with you as well. Just add me on Skype, the information that you get right after your purchase, and I will get in touch about getting started on your website for you. Let's see. Raymond is asking, what about having a store on a subdomain and then review content and stuff like that on the main site? If you ultimately are going to have all of that different information, I'd recommend putting it all on one website, simply because you don't want Amazon, for example, to see, hey, we've got this store portion of our website, while you might have the good content, the informational content there on a subdomain or something that goes along with it, it's possible they could actually overlook that. Even if you have that good stuff going for you, if you're doing the particular tactics that they disapprove of, that they're actually suspending affiliates for, then it's unfortunately enough once they find something like that. It doesn't matter about all the other great stuff. You have to avoid violating all of their policies. Period. Yes, that's absolutely correct. With ExtendAzon Pro, you get all my past products, training, plugins, etc., and the future ones as well. And you also get live webinars each month. I do a Q&A webinar each month, and sometimes change it up and may do something different than that. But yeah, you get all the past and the future stuff. Anything that is geared towards Amazon affiliates. And honestly, I've only created one product, I believe, in 7 years of creating my own products that was not for Amazon affiliates. I created a JVZoo affiliate marketing course. That's the only thing really in that time that's not part of ExtendAzon Pro. And so, my big focus is Amazon. So that's most of what I create, and absolutely all that stuff goes on the website for members. So by getting that lifetime membership, you get all my past stuff and all my future stuff, and some personal help to go along with it. Mark, in my experience, he's asking what kind of site converts better, like a info type of site like Down Comforter Guide, or more of an e-commerce theme that would then have that unique content attached to it. Ultimately, if I'm going to use like an e-commerce theme or an automated store builder or something like that, I will have my unique content on the product pages, but then I basically try to transform those sites into a Down Comforter Guide style informational type of website. So I'll still have a section on products, but it's just a portion of my website. It might only account for a maximum of like 33% of the pages on my whole site. So in a lot of ways, at least the way that I would use them, they'd kind of end up being the same thing. All the ones that I've personally created and put a lot of time into, they're all really the Down Comforter Guide style of website. I do a number of different variations on that, different kinds of sites that I build, and I put training courses out for kind of each of the different styles of websites that I build. Some of them are more hands-off, some of them are more websites where you get an audience engaged and you focus more on one website instead of trying to build a number of different websites. Something also worth mentioning here that somebody was asking about, I honestly fully intended to show this a little earlier. How do my sites perform? I guess that's also kind of related to the question I was just answering there. What's converting better, for example? While I may not run a lot of the other stuff to really compare it to, I can at least tell you what mine does. Down Comforter Guide originally was created in about 4 days worth of work from start to finish. And since then, I kind of did about 1 day's worth of revisiting work on it. And again, that's over the course of quite a few years. Even with the website hacking, and honestly, when that happened, the whole thing shut down for a couple of months. I had nothing going on there until I fixed it up and got that situation revolved and got the site back online. That's when I also did that additional update. So all in all, I put about 5 days worth of work into this website, and after all that time, there's my results. And this is from September. This is just the month that just ended here. Down Comforter Guide made $74.08 on complete autopilot for me. And again, this is more of like a 500 word per page type of a website. I even had, looks like 3 items from that month that were ordered and actually didn't get shipped. So in reality, I made more than that. That money will just kind of roll over to the next month for me. So the goal with this strategy that I do is not to build one website and to make a full-time living off of it. It's to make these small niche websites that each target a different subject. When you have a wide variety of them like that, and you're generating regular earnings and regular traffic off of each of them, it not only adds up pretty quick to give you a steady monthly income, but it's a lot more reliable that way. If something happens to one of my sites, like when Down Comforter Guide got hacked, my whole Amazon business didn't crumble. It was just that one website. And so just a small portion of my earnings dropped off because of it. Diversification in that manner helps to make the business a lot more reliable and sustainable long term. It also helps with fluctuations and seasonal tendencies. Down comforters, for example, are pretty thick, heavy, warm type of bedding. They're not really that popular down south. They're more popular up north, and they're certainly more popular during the colder months of the year. So during the warmer months of the year, And honestly, even September would apply to that more recently. In the US, it was a really warm September. So for the site to have made 75 bucks in a pretty warm month, I'm I'm quite pleased with it, because that's more of a seasonal type of website. Whereas others, you have products that sell all year long. So you get a wide variety of these different types of websites out there, and it introduces more stability to your business, and especially to the earnings that you get off of it. Jorgen, the training, the ExtendAzon Pro training, it does give access to me, not through, I don't do a, I do have a Facebook group, but it's not one specifically for the ExtendAzon Pro website. Um, the easiest place to directly ask me questions is every month during the live webinar trainings. That's basically just a whole hour or even longer, however many people show up. I've sat there for 3 or 4 hours answering questions before. So it just kind of depends on how many people show up and how many have questions that they want to ask. I stick around and answer anything that people want there. Beyond that, you can contact me through my customer support ticket system. I also welcome even emails if for some reason you can't really use the support ticket system. I even personally answer emails. I won't go into like super in-depth training with people beyond the live webinars. You know, if you're wanting me to take a look at your site and give you a lot of in-depth advice and give you some direction on what to do next and things of that nature, I definitely reserve that type of stuff more for my one-on-one students. However, in those monthly ExtendAzon Pro Q&A webinars, I'll answer anything that you want with the speculation of you can't really go into detail on specific websites of yours, or at least I wouldn't recommend it. Anything that you ask me about in those live Q&A sessions, they do get recorded. That information is published in the ExtendAzon Pro website, those video recordings. So, you know, with that said, I won't do like a live review of your website. I don't want to bring people to your website that are going to copy your content like they end up doing to my websites. So certain things like that I do restrict. But other than that, I open any questions in those monthly training sessions, and we'll do my best to try to help you out. Let's see, Lee, do I have any comments on properly using a store site with preloaded products, which I plan to modify and enhance the content for everyone, not just spinning, but actual research? My biggest recommendation for a situation like that would be, number one, strip out all of the Amazon content that's provided. I really don't even like to provide the little section of reviews, the little review iframe that are included in a lot of those plugins. I really don't like to include that on my website either. Beyond that, don't just talk about the product trying to sell it. You know, don't just have pages on your site that talk about specific products. Think about what those products are used for, essentially. You know, the Down Comforter site as an example, there's a number of reasons why people might want to buy a down comforter: to get a better night's sleep, because they like that warm, cozy feeling. Maybe they live in northern latitudes or are just simply cold at night when they sleep and they want to be nice and warm. You know, there's a lot of different reasons why someone would want to use it. And so in addition to the product pages and the product content, I also want to have content about those relating subjects, the things that lead to the product, to the point where I can say within that content, you know, if this particular topic, this need applies to you, you know, if you do live in, say, Canada, for example, and you hate the cold winters and you just want to be nice and warm and cozy in your bed, then the down comforters might be the best for you. And it's a direct transition from my informational content to the products that I want them to buy. And so that's really my biggest recommendation with any kind of store site. Don't just stick with those product pages. Add in the other stuff too. Figure out why somebody would want to use the product. Raymond, that's a good question. He was checking out my anti-hack course manual already, and said I recommend the free version of iTheme security plugin. Is it better than WordFence? Can you use both at the same time? I really don't recommend using both at the same time. WordFence, it's not that it's a bad plugin. I found it to kind of be lacking in a couple of features that I did find in iTheme security that I feel like are pretty important to the whole process. It's also a bit of a personal preference, I suppose. I know for a fact that WordFence throws out some false positives because it does it with my plugins. If you use my plugins with WordFence, it's going to flag them as potentially, I forget what it says, malicious content or something like that. It's because I encrypt my software because I don't want it to get pirated. Because the very first plugin I ever released, I released it unencrypted and it was being resold within 24 hours or so. So I encrypt my plugins and WordFence falsely flags them. It doesn't prevent them from working, but it just makes people aware of it. And so I figure if it's going to throw out a false positive like that in a situation where I know 100% that there's nothing in my plugin that it could possibly be considering to be malicious other than the fact that it's encrypted, then I just start to wonder what else it might be incorrectly doing. And I've yet to have any issues with the iTheme security plugin too. So while I can't say that WordFence is ineffective against hacking issues, I do prefer iTheme security over WordFence for those reasons at least. Jorgen, you're from Denmark, but there's no Amazon store here. Will I be able to run a business like you instruct anyways? Almost definitely. The only stipulation there would really be, can you get into the Amazon.com affiliate program? I know they accept people from other countries. I'm able to join all the other Amazon affiliate sites for different countries. I'm a member of Amazon UK and Amazon Germany and the foreign language ones that honestly can't even read. I'm a member of those too. So, you know, it should work the other way around. I've never specifically looked into which countries may or may not be allowed on each of those. But yeah, as long as you can get into the Amazon affiliate program, then absolutely you can do this type of thing. And you just target USA traffic. You don't have to target people from your own country. You do USA keyword research. you target products and knowledge that is sought after in the USA and sell products to people that live in the USA and do so on, Amazon.com. And yeah, it really doesn't matter where you live as long as you can get accepted. Raymond, I can just tell you how to do that one. How to be an associate for countries other than the USA one. Use Google Translate. With Google Chrome, for example, you can have Google Translate kind of embedded into it and automatically translate web pages that you're on. And so I use that to even be able to read the affiliate application, to fill it out, and then to actually be able to log into the account and do stuff, to look at the products that are there, things of that nature. So even though I don't know any other languages besides English myself, but I'm still able to get by with using those other countries still. Janice, could you tell me where you sent an email to? Typically, support for my plugins takes less than 24 hours in most cases. The only main exception to that might be a technical issue. For example, if you have a plugin or a theme that is causing a conflict with my software and I end up needing to issue an update for it, it can definitely sometimes take longer than 24 hours to completely resolve a problem like that, but you'd still hear back from somebody. So if it's been 3 days, I definitely wonder where that may have been sent to, just to make sure you actually sent it here. If you could tell me either the email that you sent it to and or the email address you sent it from, I'd certainly be happy to go and search for it. Go to ryanstevensonplugins.com here, and there's a support link in the menu. That gets you to my ticket system. Oh, and in reply to the webinar email, it's possible that may not have gotten to me. The webinar emails get sent out from GoToWebinar and not actually from my website. So I can't say with 100% certainty where a reply to one of those would go. I added the support link into the chat box here for you, Janice. You just go there and submit a support ticket, and that way, you actually be able to track the response on that, so we can make sure we get you all straightened out. I'm taking a look back through some questions here just to make sure I haven't missed anything. I am under the impression I am caught up on questions that everybody has asked though. So if you have asked something at this point that I have not addressed for you, if you wouldn't mind bringing it to my attention, I'd be happy to cover that for you. If not, we might be winding down here. However, I guess it might kind of depend on what you mean by a server attack. If you're getting like a denial of service attack or something, that's probably going to be pretty expensive to take care of. You may even be better off just trying to like temporarily shut the website down until it goes away and start it back up. If you're talking about something more like a hacking attack, if you haven't done so already, take a look at the bonus training that I offered tonight, just in case you're new or got here more recently, I should say. I'm going to add that link into the chat box here once again. It's a free anti-hacking course that I offered to anybody that came out to this class tonight. That will kind of detail what I went through with my own website hacking, what I did to recover from it. If you don't have a backup of your website, that's really like the biggest thing that's going to harm you. If you have a backup of it, it's pretty easy. You can shut the site down, delete the whole thing off of the server, and just start over from scratch and reload the clean backup onto it. Is one of the easiest ways. I got you. As denial of service attack on your Bluehost domains, which were all infected. Yeah, that might be a little tricky. I guess just depending on, you know, whether or not you do have a backup access. While it wasn't with Bluehost, it was with HostGator. They're actually owned by the same parent company. Was the server that I was on when I had my own hacking issues, and their response to it was ridiculous. Like, they're like, oh, your websites have been hacked. It's causing all of this extra traffic, and so we wanted to let you know we shut you down. And then they point me to some crazy expensive service, $300 or $500 a month or something like that, to fix my hacked websites. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So I just shut them down, reloaded the, yeah, you got the same thing? Okay. I'm just making sure I'm not alone there. I'm just like, you guys are crazy. I'm like, don't let me know after the fact once you've shut my websites down. You know, they even told me, hey, we've been monitoring this situation for like a week or something. It's like, great, thanks for not mentioning anything to me about it. So I ended up just shutting all my sites down. They're like, you know, we're not going to unlock these sites until you pay this service or you provide proof that you've gone through some other service or whatever. So I was just like, fine, screw you guys. I'm going elsewhere. And that's exactly what I did. I went and set up my sites elsewhere. I loaded up the backups of those sites, transferred my domain name servers over to my new server, and you know, never looked back, and just didn't even bother with them. So ultimately, any site hacking issue, if that's what the root problem of it is, that's one of the easiest ways to take care of it, especially if you're dealing with a shared website host account where they won't think twice and they just shut you down and let you know about it later. The backups are the best way to go. So that would be my advice, at least, if that is a possibility. I did have a couple of sites of mine where I didn't have backups, and they got hacked, and I was facing the same issue, kind of, especially before I really became aware of how widespread this problem was becoming with WordPress site hacking. On those, I also detail that in the anti-hacking course, what to do if you don't have a backup. You basically start over from scratch with WordPress. You install WordPress new on a new domain name, a clean, you know, hosting account. You load up themes and plugins that you are already using, and then you restore the database. That database can come from the infected website. In most cases, typically when a WordPress site is infected, it's the files that are infected. It's not typically the database that actually gets infected, or at least I have not yet encountered one where that's the case. So you set up all of the software that was there before, you load up the database, and you'll be back up and running. The only exception to that really is uploaded media. That can also be transferred over, but you do have to be really careful about that part because the hackers love to embed stuff in your uploads folder. So I also kind of detail that in the anti-hacking course. Janice. Oh, yeah, you're quite welcome, Byron. Glad to help out. For Janice, she's asking about the best place to get hosting for WordPress. I definitely do not recommend GoDaddy, unfortunately. They're definitely what I would rank as one of the slower web hosts. There are some that specifically offer WordPress hosting packages. They run for about $25 a month. A step up from GoDaddy, a little more expensive, would be something like HostGator. Their servers are faster, but their customer support is garbage. If you want better customer support, you usually got to go another step up also with your pricing. That's why I ended up with Liquid Web. Liquid Web, though, used to do those $25 a month WordPress hosting accounts. They don't do that anymore. They sold that whole portion of their business, and they only do stuff like dedicated servers now. So unfortunately, what I'm using now, I can't really recommend to the average Amazon affiliate just simply because of the cost involved. But at least for any websites that I will be building for people, they will be able to get on those servers with me since I'll be providing 5 years of free web hosting. I don't remember if that's the name of the company or not, Raymond, that owns HostGator and Bluehost, but it's the same company, and it's not just those two companies that they own. They own, I forget what it is, 5 or 10 different hosting companies, and it's all under one umbrella parent company. And they do the same stuff with all of them. Yeah, Bluehost support sucks. I've never used them, but would have been pretty confident to say that just simply based on what HostGator does, because they pretty much, emulate each other. They probably use the same staff, I would imagine. So yeah, I used to use them before they got bought out. They used to be amazing. Their customers, HostGator at least, their customer support was really the reason why I started using them many years ago. But then once they sold the company, it quickly went downhill. Yeah, I would imagine the same thing kind of went for Bluehost. Unfortunately, they just kind of take over. I've even been debating starting, with, especially now that Liquid Host, I can't really recommend them for a cheaper shared hosting account. I've been debating even starting up my own based off of Liquid Web servers because they're really fast. Their customer support is superb. They're just about twice as expensive as things like HostGator and Bluehost is really the only negative that I could say about them, that and the lack of the shared servers these days. I'd be curious to hear about that if you do try that, Raymond. Just see what kind of results you get. I have not yet tried to like completely host something like that. That would definitely be interesting to know though, putting it all on Amazon servers. Let's see, Martin didn't receive email confirmation yet. I will definitely look into that as soon as we get off this call here, and we'll send an email out to you, Martin, just to make sure either way, if that account information email did indeed go out to you, I can look up your information, and if for some reason it didn't, I'll get that straightened out right away. Yes, Jorgen, Azon overhaul is indeed part of the Team Azon Pro training website. Along with basically every other Amazon course you may have seen me offer, Azon Home Study course, the new one that I'm currently doing, which you probably haven't heard about, HobbyAzon, talking about building hobby-based Amazon affiliate websites. I'm about halfway through with that series, and also sharing a brand new website of mine that I've been building based on one of my hobbies. My favorite hobby, actually, beyond computer stuff. And so yeah, all those different training courses, they're all part of that Team Azon Pro website. Okay, thank you, Rhonda, for letting me know that. I will definitely check up on that for you as well. Well, go ahead and make a last call now, everybody. If you have additional questions you would like to ask me, please go ahead and get them into the chat box now. If you are in the middle of trying to decide on what you're going to go for with the site building or the training that I am offering, please try to get that wrapped up in the next couple minutes as well. Once I shut down here, I will be going and making those changes as I mentioned before.